Hi, I'm Dr. Lynn Sikich at the University of North Carolina. I do mostly psychopharmacology or drug studies for kids with autism and other developmental disorders. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about what's new with medication treatments in children with autism. We still don't have any medications that treat the core symptoms of autism. There is progress being made for some of the genetic disorders that are linked with autistic symptoms, such as Fragile X and Rett syndrome, for trying to develop treatments that now target the mechanisms of action in those disorders. And probably within the next 5 to 10 years, we'll be able to see if some of those same treatments work for the majority of kids with autism. We have made progress, however, though. There now is one drug that's FDA indicated for children with autism. That drug is risperidone, which is indicated for the treatment of irritable and aggressive behaviors in children with autism. It seems to help with things like the meltdowns that kids with autism will have when they're frustrated or when they're asked to make transitions, with some of the self-injurious behaviors and some of the aggression that they can show, particularly in situations when they're overwhelmed or frustrated or a lot of demands are being made on them. The studies that really led to this indication were done in children from the ages of 5 to 17 and showed that relatively low doses of the medication are quite helpful. The studies also showed that the majority of kids will have a return to the problematic behaviors if the risperidone is discontinued. The main side effects to watch with risperidone are weight gain, which can sometimes be extreme, and sometimes stiffness or sudden muscle cramps that sometimes can be dealt with by lowering the doses. Although it is not yet approved, there are many studies now underway with another antipsychotic called aripiprazole or Abilify, which generally look positive, and we expect those results to be out within the next year. The aripiprazole might be particularly useful because it seems to cause both less stiffness and less weight gain than the risperidone does, so we're eagerly awaiting those results. There also are published studies out now about the use of stimulants for kids with autism who also have significant attention problems. That study has found that kids with autism are particularly sensitive to stimulants, and they tend to be much more likely than typically developing children to have adverse effects, particularly the kind of rebound we see where kids can be more moody and emotional as the medication wears off, and more sensitivity to the insomnia that you sometimes see with stimulants. Despite this, if the stimulants are used very cautiously in low doses, they can be helpful for 40 to 50% of kids with autism, so they may be well worth trying in a cautious way. The other class of medicines that we use a lot are the SSRIs, or the antidepressants. People believe that these medicines may help with the repetitive behaviors as well as some anxiety and irritability that we often see in autism. However, there are only pilot studies available at this point really demonstrating how well they work. There is a large study that I was part of that is about to be published that will evaluate whether or not the medicines actually work, so I encourage you to look for that report. We have found in that study that kids with autism are particularly sensitive to what we call activation with the antidepressants. Activation means that the kids often are more hyperactive, they're often more aggressive, and often have more sleep problems on the antidepressant than they did off the antidepressant. So it's important to watch for those sorts of problems, and in those cases to try to reduce the dose or perhaps try a different medication. We do think that those effects are a little bit less likely if you start with a really low dose and gradually increase the dose. Whenever a child with autism is on medication, it's really important for the doctors to get feedback from all the people dealing with the child about how the medicine is affecting them, both good things that you're seeing and negative things. So hopefully in the future we'll have better treatments that work more effectively with fewer side effects. Thank you.